The altcoins are back on the move. In this video, we're having a look at the various altcoins we've covered over the past few weeks and how they're starting to perform right now. We've had some big gainers, time to check up on those, and we're going to have a little look at how we can spot sector pumps as rotating your bags into other coins in similar sectors can pay dividends. So if you enjoy the content today, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon link down below. Let's jump in. So starting here with the crypto market cap. So this is the market cap of all cryptocurrencies less Bitcoin. And as you can see, back in May, we posted an all-time high, 1.38 trillion US dollars. And over the last couple of days, we've spiked up from 1.175 to 1.2 and then all the way up to around 1.3 trillion all in all. So swiftly moving towards that all-time high territory for altcoin market cap. And with this, we're going to see huge gains across the board, especially when we break through this level and we have clear skies once again. Literally, the sky will be the limit at that point. And it's not long before we actually get there. From this point all the way up to all-time high, we are just around 5% away. Roughly $68 billion will do it. No small sum, of course, but as we can see over the last few days, we've literally added hundreds of billions of dollars to the altcoin market caps here, 142 billion over the last 3 days alone. So things can move very swiftly in this space. And this chart is being led by none other than Ethereum. Currently sat at around $3,800. ETH put in a huge candle yesterday and set shockwaves through the crypto space. It moved much earlier than Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has subsequently played a bit of catch up. All-time high on ETH is around 43.50, so a little ways to go here, but we are pretty much in clear skies up to this, so I expect the all-time high to drag price towards it like a magnet. And what we do know from past experience is that when ETH moves, the alts will follow. So over the last few months, we had a lot of people sat on the sidelines in fiat. The main difference here has been that with stablecoins growing in huge popularity, we now have the ability for people to stay in crypto, but to stay in pegged assets, your USDCs, your DAIs, even UST, and reap nice yields. And then when the time is right, they can easily enter back in the market. And so the typical cycle goes from fiat to Bitcoin to large caps, mid caps, and low caps. But I think it's about time that we just put ETH and Bitcoin on the same pedestal up here now. ETH was the first to move over the last 24 hours and not BTC. So we're seeing that ETH can actually move the whole market right now, which seems to be a bit of a change from previous movements when Bitcoin has been the leader. So we seem to be set up for stage one here with the premier cryptocurrencies, BTC and ETH, starting to take up a bit of groundswell of momentum here that will lead to the trickle down into the other large, mid and low caps and generate huge returns for us as altcoin investors. So as we move through these various stages, you can see there's opportunity to rotate between some of these. For example, large caps right now, L1s have been booming over the past month. We saw Luna move very early, as did Cardano, and then we saw projects follow suit, the likes of AVAX, and then more recently Phantom, and Solana, an absolute outlier, just keeps on pumping. So in a previous video, I covered the kind of rotation between the L1s, and this could have played out very nicely. We're also going to get an opportunity in mid caps, and then finally, last but not least, those low caps where we can see some dramatic gains. These are highly illiquid, and when they have such small market caps, it only takes a few $1 million to pump up the total market cap of some of these by huge percentage points. So this trickle down waterfall effect is now underway. So it's really time to pay attention to see which coins are moving and more importantly, which ones aren't moving, because they are all likely to move over the next coming month. So we have Bitcoin sitting around 50K right now, a monumental price point, one of psychological importance that if we break, we could see tremendous upside. Ethereum is going to start flirting with $4,000. Again, moving past 4,000 pretty much guarantees us to go and test that all-time high levels. And then we're going to see the rest of these large caps follow suit, push past previous levels of resistance. Quite a few of these have broken all-time high already, but not all of them. And so there's going to be great opportunity within this. But of course, we're going to see a few laggards within the space. And so if you get a nice early pump and an early runner on one of these, it may be wise to rotate your bags into others. Now, one that may be a laggard due to a recent delay is Terra. And I am actually Licking my lips at the thought of this one. I'm hoping I can get a few early runners and then I can rotate into the Luna token, currently priced at $32. And if we have a little look at the chart here over the last 90 days, we can see the big run up. And then subsequently, we've not been able to push past around 36 bucks. Columbus 5 upgrade was due to take place September the 5th, I believe, but it has now been delayed. And this is a very positive thing. Essentially, the main driver of the Luna token is the popularity of Terra, the UST. And just over the last 90 days here, you can see the market cap of UST has gone from a roughly $1.9 billion all the way up to $2.4 billion. So $500 million added to the market cap of UST. And the tokenomics of both of these are highly linked. To mint more UST, you have to burn Luna. So as UST grows in demand and in market cap, more and more Luna needs to get burned in a process called seigniorage. So if you look at the circulating supply here of Luna, as UST increases in market cap, the supply of Luna token goes down. So you have this dual effect of not only the price of Luna going up, but also the supply going down as well. So this one can see huge parabolic growth when demand for UST really ramps up. And the Columbus 5 upgrade is exactly what's going to bring about a huge amount of additional demand for UST, as this is where many dApps are going to be built, and all these dApps need UST to function. Now, this delay is for 3 weeks. So this means that many people are slightly disappointed right now. We saw a bit of a pullback yesterday in the Luna price once this was announced. People fretting about it, saying like, why is this being delayed? Can't we get it through? And the answer is no. Essentially, they want to take precautions and ensure that the Columbus 5 mainnet upgrade is totally successful and has no negative impact on some of the applications that need to update their systems in order to cope with the additional demands here. So they did put together a rather large tweet storm here explaining exactly what will be happening. But essentially the TLDR here is that they weren't totally ready. The partners within the ecosystem weren't ready either. And so they're being sensible, delaying by 3 weeks to make sure everyone is on board and that this is a very smooth transition into the Columbus 5 upgrade. So if this is taken negatively by the market, maybe Terra won't move, but other layer ones are very likely to continue moving. The likes of Polkadot have just woken up. Cardano's been on a tear, now over $3. So if you've got bags in some of those and Luna doesn't move for a while, maybe you will get a nice God tier entry into Luna just prior to the Columbus 5 upgrade. Now, next up is one we added recently, and it is Illuvium. Now, this one is a play-to-earn AAA quality video game. Now, on this front, this is actually up around 5% for the day, and I was just looking through the other gaming tokens here. Generally, it's one of the best performance here. Some of these are up like 2 or 3%. No huge moves in this sector, really. But Illuvium does continue to just gain attention, and people are bidding on this like mad. Now a top 200 cryptocurrency. And this huge surge in demand that started back in July hasn't really cooled off at all. You can see there's consistent pressure on the market here, and people are stepping in and buying every time that there's a dip. And this comes as they recently announced a delay to the game. So here, Kieran from Illuvium says he comes with good and bad news. The good news is the gameplay trailer is going to be significantly longer and include story elements as well as more gameplay from the overworld. However, the ETA for this has now been delayed for 7 weeks. So that takes us into November before we're going to see this big trailer, which they're expecting will drive additional demand. And on the flip side to this as well, the bad news is that they've also had to push back the open beta release to Q1 of 2022. So they were highly ambitious with their targets for this game being released by the end of this year, but it has been pushed back. No real surprise there. I know a lot of people were suggesting that to get this out done and dusted in 12 months was too ambitious, and it has proved to be as well. But the delay has not affected price negatively whatsoever, and Illuvium is pushing towards all-time highs once again. Previous all-time high, $545. It's literally a hairbreadth away from there right now. But another one to keep your eye on, because if you've got other bags in the gaming ecosystem and this does start to slow down due to the fact there's been delays, again, it could make for a nice rotation. Now, TrustSwap, another fan favorite here on the channel, has been doing excellently well. It peaked out at $1.60 a little bit earlier and has now pulled back to $1.35. They've had some really big announcement here, and that is that they are starting to do buybacks of the swap token. So it says the first round of swap buybacks have been completed today between 9 and 10 a.m. PST, and the buybacks are fueled by TrustSwap's revenue over the last 30 days. So as TrustSwap grows, so do the buybacks. So this is an additional element to the tokenomics that are going to take more and more of these swap tokens out of supply. So you do have the team batting on the same side as you. They're going to be a big buyer of the token, and they're going to want to ensure the price goes up. And here we have the Polkadot ecosystem. Finally, Polkadot shows a sign of life here. Over the last 7 days, it's now up 25%. And for many investors, myself included, it's felt like this has taken an age to actually happen. But when you just draw back the chart a little bit, although this hasn't had a parabolic advance like some, that's still a pretty damn healthy looking chart here. It was just maybe over the last week as we saw other L1s really pop off, and Polkadot looked like it was cooling down, and then lo and behold, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this thing just seems to be going on a run. And so now time to cast your eyes over the Polkadot ecosystem to see where we're going to have echo pumps and sector pumps within here. We're seeing some big movers, the likes of Math up 26%, Ren had a big move. And then if we keep going down here, we can see some of the micro cap stuff that has yet to really move. And so this is where I placed a bet in Pinknode down here at just $9 million in market cap. Someone asked, I think it was yesterday on a video, any updates on Pinknode? And the answer is, well, yes. So as we saw from the money flow in crypto cycle, this is a good indicator of when we get to the bottom, to when we get to those low caps pumping. When this goes up to like 60, 70, 80 cents, something in that region, this is the point at which you know we're at the end point of this little altcoin run, and it's time to look to circulate your profits back up into stables or the big caps once again. Now with a coin like this, it's high risk, high reward. We got in, I think it's roughly up around 2x from 2 weeks ago, but being very illiquid, having a very low market cap means it can run very hard. In terms of those updates here, they put out a quarterly review. So some of the highlights here, they established 15 partnerships within the Polkadot ecosystem. They've delivered more than 200 million requests in the first 3 months of their MVP, and they're now on either their second or their third liquidity mining programs. You can see the various partners within the Polkadot ecosystem. Pinknode provides API endpoints and node operating services on like a subscription-based model. So essentially it allows the teams within these networks to concentrate on what they do best and let Pinknode look after all the infrastructure. So an infrastructure play within Polkadot, and it's obviously got that partnership with Facebook as well. Check out my video on Pinknode for more details. But in terms of token liquidity, the final distribution to private round investors has now taken place, which is very good. And in terms of liquidity mining incentives, they issued 349,000 Pinknode over the last month. And this will continue throughout September until the 1st of October. So there will still be liquidity mining rewards, creating a bit of down pressure on this market here. But once that is cleared up, we are literally in blue skies territory, and I think we can see a nice healthy pump on the Pinknode token. And here we have FTX, goes by the ticker FTT, one of the baddest cryptos in town, headed up by none other than SBF. This one has been on an absolute rampage recently and has now hit a new all-time high, roughly $70. I think the all-time high came in around a few hours ago, and if you just come and check out the volume down here. So back in May, they were putting in daily volume, $400 million. Over the last couple of days, there's been some huge bid in this. In total, volume 1.5 billion, and then today 1.8 billion US dollars. This shows you that people with very long pockets are now bidding on FTT in a massive way. So this to me just looks like pure institutional money flowing into one of these premier cryptocurrencies. Now, what will this do for other exchange-based tokens? FTT up around 18-20% on the daily, and some of these are yet to move. We've had a few movers though, the likes of Ren down here, 15%. Injective, and Balancer putting in similar performances, but a lot of these are actually pretty much flat over the last 24 hours, and some of these are down over the last 7 days. So if this sets off a sector pump within the exchange-based coins, then I think there could be some nice rotation possibilities in here. And also I would have to add that if FTT is pumping, typically when these exchange tokens move, it's due to new retail entering the market, as most of these tokens, like FTT, the more you hold, the less your fees. So this could also be a good bellwether for retail investors re-entering the crypto space. So do keep an eye on that. But they had some fundamentally strong news here. They acquired Ledger X. Recently, they had this big raise of $900 million and they were valued at around $18 billion. Ironically, that is a lot higher than their actual market cap, which is around $7 billion. So they were valued at over 18 and the token cost is around 7. Seems a bit out of whack to me. And from these proceeds, they've used some of these to acquire Ledger X as the company grows its market share in the futures and options industry. So this is where they want to try and thrive and tap into a huge market. How big is the derivatives market? Derivatives market is said to be over $1 quadrillion on the high end, but there is a large difference in the notional value and actual value of derivatives, 640 trillion versus 12 trillion. Well, even taking up a small amount of the derivatives market would see the market cap of FTX go ridiculously high, a lot higher than what it is right now. And this is why I think people are putting in big bids on the FTT token. Sam, who you just can't bet against because everything he touched turns to gold, said this: our long-term expansion strategy is for FTX.US to offer a wide array of asset classes in regulated markets, and this is our first major step in that direction. And Ledger X serves both retail and institutional investors, and it was the first company in the industry to be regulated in the United States and has cleared more than 10 million options and swap contracts. So these guys ensuring that they are fully regulated and ticking all the boxes that the SEC wants them to. So this kind of acquisition shows you the trajectory of this company. So do not bet against FTT. I brought this on the channel right at the end of July and we got in roughly around $30. My entries are just below $30 on this one. And so this is up a nice healthy 2x and a bit right now. So there we have it. These altcoins are starting to move, and certain ones in these different sectors are actually leading the charge right now. And so you can see echo pumps will occur across the board. A rising tide lifts all boats. So do be aware that rotating your bags and trying to compound the gains is probably the best way you can turn a small amount of money into a much larger sum. Of course, not financial advice. Do take into account your own risk tolerance when doing any of these things. But the more time you spend in this industry, the more obvious it all becomes. So I hope you enjoyed the content in today's video. If you did, smash a like down below, subscribe to the channel, guys. Check out my Patreon, link down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.